Hello, guys and dolls. How are you? I hope you are well. Okay, so you know how you watch things on YouTube and then you kind of get sucked into this vortex and you're watching a trial, for example, which is what I was watching over the past couple of days, a trial. And um, it was in reference to the Parkland shooting in Florida at the school. Nicholas Cruz shot and killed 17 students. Okay. So I've had my share of emotions about it. And it's not easy to listen to. And to see the pain on the parents' faces, that's not easy either. But for some reason, I've been just watching it and watching it and watching it and watching it. It's just like almost addictive. And some of the comments that were made in the underneath the videos of the trial, okay, I find disturbing, okay? And the reason I find them disturbing is because the only thing that I could think is that the people that made those comments are extremely ignorant, young, they don't have a lot of experience with life yet, and they just don't comprehend how trauma works. So when these students were making their talking about their experience and what they witnessed, and some of them were shot, and seeing their friends get killed, and the whole nine. They're just spilling their guts about what happened, and they're talking about it matter of factly. There were some extremely ignorant comments that were made, and I want to address those comments because I can't really get them out of my head. But I told myself they're probably quite young, so they just don't get it. Hopefully they're young, because that's the only excuse I could come up with for why you're so stupid. They were making comments like, oh, this person doesn't have any emotions when they're talking about it, and so it's probably fake, and this shooting probably didn't even happen, and blah, 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 blah. All you have to do is research on your phone, dumbass, and you will see the evidence of that crime taking place. What the hell do you mean it was fake? And people do have a misconception about traumas. They do have a misconception, and I'm here to clear the misconceptions up. Those of you who have seen other videos of mine, especially from a long time ago, you will know that I have suffered some serious trauma myself. I have been stabbed. I have been cut with a knife. I have been knocked down a flight of stairs by one of the parents. I had my arm twisted behind my back in such a way that I waited for my arm to the shoulder to disconnect, basically disconnect. And I could sit here and have coffee with you, or tea, whatever you prefer. And I could talk to you about it just as casual like I am now, without emotion. Does that mean that it didn't happen? No. Does it mean that I have worked through all of those emotions? Yes. However, there are circumstances where the person did not work through their emotions, but they're still in a state of shock, and they're still numb from it. So I'm just going to go there because I'm going to use that as an example. So I was stabbed back in the day, okay? And in my left arm. So there's stab wounds in my left arm. And before I worked through it, and I went to counseling, before I worked through it, if I wore like I didn't like wearing sleeveless shirts because you could see those wounds pretty obviously. Um, Short sleeves you can't really tell, but a sleeveless shirt you can. So before I went to therapy, when someone asked me what happened, and this was way back when I was in my 20s, I would get emotional and I would get teary-eyed, and I couldn't look at them. I would just go, yeah, I got into a fight with somebody and I got stabbed. And I would get tears in my eyes, and I'm sure the person was quite awkward and, feel like, okay, that's like weird, so I'm going to change the subject or just go quiet. But people can also be non-emotional when they're still in shock. They're still numb. They're still coming to the reality of what happened to them. So I worked it out in counseling so I can talk to you about all of the trauma, or the majority of it, without getting emotional. That doesn't mean it's fake. It just means that I've come to terms with it. It all depends on if you reframe it, you put it in a different frame. So you can either say, I'm a victim, I'm a perpetual victim, or you could say, hey, this happened to me, but I'm a survivor because I'm still here. So it all depends on how you look at it. So it all depends on that person's headspace. I have watched videos where the person went through such horrific trauma and they said it with so much calm that you're like, and you're like, wait a minute, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. And you rewind it because you're like, I didn't hear what I thought I heard, did I? But the person's talking to you about it very calmly because they have come to terms with, yes, this happened, but I'm still here. Or, yes, it happened, but I don't like thinking about it. Or, yes, this happened, but I went to therapy for it. So it depends on that person's circumstances, why they're reacting the way they are. But that doesn't give anyone the right to say, well, it couldn't have been that bad, or I doubt that that even happened. They don't have any emotion about it. Who the hell are you? Hold it right there. Who the hell are you to make that kind of judgment? And as harsh as it may sound, people were saying, oh, that shooting didn't happen. And blah, 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 blah. I said, you better hope to God it doesn't happen to you. That might sound harsh, but I'm just keeping it real because I'm going to tell you right now, when you are on the receiving end, you got a totally different perspective. So some people online may laugh about it. They may make snide comments about it. They may be extremely rude. They may crack jokes. But I assure you, no one's did that with me, but they've done it with other people. I assure you that if you are on the receiving end of whatever the trauma is, it's not going to be funny. Okay? I promise you, it will not be funny. So we need to have curiosity as to why a person reacts the way they do. And if you have the opportunity to ask that person in private, or if they're very open on their video and says, hey, you can ask me anything. I'm open. I'm an open book. There's no question I won't answer, which isn't very common, but some people are very transparent that way. Then you can ask them, you don't seem emotional about it. Have you come to terms with it? Do you just see yourself as a survivor? Have you been to counseling to work through this pain? You can ask them instead of being stupid in the head and assuming, well, they're not, hysterical when they're talking about it, so it must not be that big a deal. Don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. Ask questions. That's how you learn things, not by assuming anything, but by asking. You ask. And you can't ask them privately on YouTube, but you can ask privately if you find that person on Instagram. A lot of people will ignore you when you send them private messages. I've been on that page where I'm like, hey, I want to talk to you about this, or I'd like to interview you on my channel. And the person blew me off. So obviously they weren't interested. And I don't really give a shit. It's social media. I don't really care. If you respond, you do. If you don't, I don't care. I kind of expect people to have bad behavior because it's social media and people don't hold themselves accountable. So what can you do? But like I said, just because somebody has been through something horrific and they're not going, and this happened, and that, just because they're not reacting the way you think they should react, that doesn't have anything to do with anything. That doesn't have anything to do with anything. Okay? When I worked for the ambulance service, I lost a pediatric patient. My first patient that I was that I was caring for. Do I go nuts about it? No. Do I cry about it? No. But it took me 3 years to process it. I think it took me about a week or two before I was able to come to terms with it. And then I cried. And I, I think it took me like 2 weeks, and then it hit me like a ton of bricks, but I was, quotation marks, fine at the time. So people don't react the way you think they should react. They don't react on your time frame. And another important thing is you're not with them when they break down. You're not necessarily with them when everything has just hit the fan. So you haven't seen the worst of it. Think about that. So stop judging people off of what you think they should do, say, react, how they should react. They should be crying every time they talk about it. I mean, come on. Let's just use some common sense. Everybody's situation is different. And the reason that they're acting the way they are, reacting or non-reactive, have various reasons. So don't be dumb. If you know that someone's been through something terrible, like a school shooting, that is severely traumatic. And those visions will never leave your mind. So when you're talking about it calmly, when the person's talking about it calmly, that doesn't mean that they won't break down as soon as the interview's over. It doesn't mean that this is one of the few times, it could be one of the few times that they're not breaking down. And as soon as the camera shuts off, they're like, oh my God, you don't know. You're just reacting off of what you see. Don't make assumptions off of what you see because you don't know the whole story. Okay? You do not know the whole story. One of my friends told me, and I'm going to let you guys go, but one of my friends told me she was like super emotional about stuff. And if somebody hurt her feelings, she would get very upset. Her stomach would be in knots and she would be, a basket case. Somebody goes off on me, I'm going to be like, who in the hell are you talking to like that? So I'm aggressive and she's so not. And when we were out and about walking the dogs, because she's a passive kind of person, I felt like if something hit the fan, I have to protect both of us because she's pretty laid back, mellow, chill, and I don't know how she'd react if she was confronted. She might not fight back, or she might cry or something. I don't know. I'm more aggressive than she is. So I felt like I had to protect both of us when we went out. But she told me, you're one of the strongest people I've ever known. I never see you upset. I never see you break down. I'm itchy and I don't know what the deal is. Could be because I was out with the dog and who knows. Anyways, itchy. And I said, I break down all the time. You just don't see it. I'm no different than anyone else. So yes, I have broken down when a family member had cancer and there's a possibility that this person could have died. And that's a long story, but we won't go there. I was hysterical. I fell to my knees and cried so hard that I couldn't breathe. So just because someone doesn't react the way you expect them to or want them to, which is even creepier if you want them to break down. Come on. That doesn't mean behind the scenes they haven't lost their everlasting mind. I mean, you just don't freaking know. So don't judge off of a YouTube channel. Don't judge off of friends that you see in real life, even if you're super close with them. You still don't know what they've been through. She had known me for years and she thought I was just as tough as nails. I'm not. I hurt just like everybody else. I feel pain like everyone else. I get triggered. I have PTSD because of the shit that I've been through. So, yeah, there's times that I've had to break down. And when I first went to my one of my counselors, who is like phenomenal, the best one I've ever been. Well, no, one of the best ones I've ever been through too. And he hit the emotional bullseye right, like, bam, right there. And I was like, I really don't want to talk about that. And he said, all the more reason why we need to talk about it. And he and I made some serious breakthroughs. So, yeah, don't judge off of non-emotions. There's various reasons why people do that. They could have had a hysterical breakdown before they got on camera. You don't know. So shut your mouth about something that you don't know. And if you're curious enough, be graceful and ask the person questions. How did you recover from it? Are you recovered from it? Are you going to go to therapy? If you have gone, has that worked for you? Ask questions. Don't make ignorant comments and ignorant assumptions, because you look like a total idiot when you do that. Okay? And for people who are open-minded, who don't make assumptions based on what they think a scenario should look like, thank you for being smart. Smart intelligence is a good thing. Anyways, you guys take care. Missouri is still in a nasty heat wave until tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Do I look thrilled? Because I'm so not. Okay. Oh my God. What a nightmare. What a nightmare. I don't know what Mother Nature's problem is this year, but oh my God and oh my God. So anyway, you guys take care. Much love.